Good evening and welcome to this edition of the Sheepish Magpie. Thank you very much for joining me. And like always, today I'm going to be opening up Advent calendars. Looking forward to January. What you can expect is going to be more of a weekly wrap up with the projects that I'm working on. I'm going to do a little bit of a stash dive and show you some of my favorite yarns and even some patterns that I'm working on and want to work on. And I'm thinking perhaps of taking some tours of some of the local yarn shops. But for the month of December, I'm doing these Advent calendar unboxings. So tonight I'm going to start with my first Miss Babs, and that is from the Renaissance colorway. And it's this really nice, it's called Donatello. A really rich, dark browny burgundy color. Really lovely. I like that. And for the Escher calendar, it is this colorway, and it's called Tower of Babel. I really love that tonal gray with the speckles. All right, moving on to a little box of crochet. Here is day number 15. And the yarns today are this soft pink, this taupe, this dark olive, and a silver. And the project for today, for number 15, is this absolutely adorable mouse. So super cute. That's great. I'm looking forward to crocheting that up. Here is a day number 15 on the Canon Outlander calendar. And today it's called Castle Leoch, a gorgeous gray, a soft gray. On the camera it's showing up as quite a bit darker and more tonal than it is showing up to my eyes, where it's not very tonal at all and a much softer pale, like a field mouse gray. Moving on to the Lemonade Shop, and the box for today is number 15. And it's this really pretty pinky with a purple undertone to it with green and purple speckles with that stellina in there. Really nice. I'm going to pop that back in there. Moving on to the Atelier perfumes. And today's item is a hand cream called Rose. And Rose Anonyme. I love Rose. It's one of my absolute favorite scents. And so I'm going to peel this little seal off. Oh, that is gorgeous. It's a very creamy rose scent. So there's definitely it's definitely rose, but there's quite a creamy undertone, almost vanilla. I haven't smelled it too thoroughly, but that is gorgeous. The thing I'd like to show you before going today is one of the projects that I'm working on for Christmas. That's been a theme over the last few days. And so I'm keeping on with that theme and showing you some of the Christmas projects that I've gotten finished. Now, this project I showed a little bit earlier because I had the hat as part of the hats that I was making. But this hat actually goes with this sweater. And this sweater is called Fox Hill. That's the name of the pattern. And it is a very cute little, I'm going to see if I can fold it correctly. It hasn't been blocked yet and I haven't put on the buttons, but it's all knit up. So it's a cowl collar. I think that's what they're called. And with this fox, and then on the back is another fox. Now, I'm hoping this is going to block out a little bit better than it's sitting, because with this pattern you actually did the foxes in overstitch. So the back of it was knitted and pieced together, and then you overstitch the fox emblem on the front and on the back, the two fronts and the back over top. And I have to admit, I'm not super thrilled with how it's lying. So I'm hoping when it blocks out that this blooms up a little bit more so that it looks a little bit more like it was done as a pattern as I knit it. Now the stripes and the other features were definitely done while I was knitting it, but those fox emblems were put on. I had a little bit of trouble with this cardigan because you do the band separately and then stitch it on. And I'm used to picking up stitches, which of course is a huge royal pain in the butt because, you know, in a sweater like, even a sweater like this, you're going to have, you know, 200 stitches maybe. I'm not sure. I can't remember how many were in here, but you know, that's a lot of stitches to pick up and knit. And that first row is always like a bit, you know, you cross your fingers that you're going to have this pick up the same number of stitches on both sides and that it's all going to go okay. But in this one, you actually are supposed to cast on a certain number of stitches and knit the band. And when I was finished, there was no way that the band was going to fit on the sweater. It was ridiculously long. I tortured that band by throwing it in the wash, in hot water, in the dryer, hoping to felt it up a little bit. And although the texture would be different, I hoped that it was going to shrink. And even after I beat it up, it didn't really do much. It shrunk a little bit, but not like it needed to shrink. And in seeing other people's projects, it did look like everybody's band was a little bit long, but no one's as long as mine. And I counted my stitches. I was right on gauge. So I don't know if I just knit the ribbing. It's just a simple knit 2, purl 2. I don't know if when I knit that my gauge is off, but it was really long, like way too long. So what I ended up doing was finding the middle part, attaching it at the back of the sweater, bringing it down and tacking it in place. And I had about 4.5 inches on each side, and I simply cut it and unraveled the yarn, over stitched at the bottom where I wanted it to fold under, folded it under and wove in those ends that I had cut off. They were now about, you know, 4 inches by the time I unraveled them, and just wove them into the sweater. And I think it turned out okay. I mean, it's a sweater for my daughter. She's not going to know so much. You can see where I overstitched at the bottom, and then just on the inside of the sweater, you can see where I wove in all those ends. Now, luckily, this yarn is pretty grabby, and so I think it's going to do okay. But it was way better than having to knit this whole band again. So I'm going to block it and I'm going to put on some buttons and hope that it is a little bit flatter. Otherwise, I think it's super cute and I think it'll be really nice and cozy, and I really like it with the matching hat. And I didn't have a pattern for this. I just used a simple pattern and used up some of the yarn ends in the same pattern as the sweater. And unfortunately, I was really short on this cream color because I probably would have done a little bit more cream to match the body of the sweater, but I didn't have it and I was happy just to use up the yarn. I have a whole bunch of yarn ends that I'm trying to use up, and I have one of those Addi Turbo machine knits, and I do hats, and I do hats for charity for that. And so that's using up some of my lighter weight yarns. And I've been using the heavier weight chunky stuff to make up hats as well. But I'm really keen on, as I finish projects, trying to use up those last little bits of yarn, because while at first it feels like a nice little stash, eventually it's becomes a little bit overwhelming. And I have a couple boxes of unused yarn where it's like half a skein or, you know, just a tiny little bit. So I'm trying to use them up. So this hat was kind of a perfect project to start to use up some of that bulky yarn. And I mixed it with some other that I had to make some of the hats that I'm now going to give away to charity. And I finally did find a charity for those hats. And a friend of mine belongs to a Mennonite church that is doing outreach to homeless folks and giving them care packages. So that's perfect for the hats that I knit up to go there, because they're bulky and super warm. So good for somebody who's outside a lot. That is all that I have for today. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll be back tomorrow opening up day number 16. And I know a couple days ago I said I was going to kind of do a wrap up and show you what has come for the first 2 weeks. And I'm going to do that tomorrow. So I'll show you what came for the first 15 days and open up the packages. Today I spent a really long time cleaning up my office and getting things all organized. So now everything's kind of all organized. I think you saw me in yesterday's video just like throwing a bag, and it was like, landed wherever it was going to land. But today my office is is much tidier. I have a giant pile of Christmas presents that I want to wrap, and my desk still needs to be cleaned off. And I've got some yarn to catalog on Ravelry, and that's kind of my ongoing project over this next little while on this piece of time off that I have. It's Christmas, it's wrapping presents, it's finishing up some projects, working on my office and getting my laundry put away. So simple goals, nothing too exciting. People always ask me, where are you traveling to? Because we do a lot of traveling, but in this 2-week period, we're not traveling at all. We will be traveling later on this winter. We're doing a Panama Canal cruise, and we're taking the kids to Disney for a few days on that. So we're totally looking forward to that. But for now, it is just the domestic pursuits of getting ready for Christmas and hanging out with the kids and just kind of trying to get some extra sleep in. There's also been some glasses of wine, and I'm headed off now to have another glass of wine as I edit this and get it uploaded onto YouTube. With that, have a good night, take care, and please join me for tomorrow and watch me open up day number 16 of the yarn calendars and my perfume calendars. So all the best. Take care. Bye-bye.